Welcome back from that break. Glad you're still watching Science Breakfast with me, Alan Herbert, and sign language interpreter. He is Jedida Wafula. This is Inclusion One-on-One, and we're going to be talking to one Mr. Moses Walusimbi, who is a disability rights advocate from Kampala, Uganda. And if my director don't mind, kindly turn on the mic so that we can start having this conversation. Mr. Walusimbi, good morning.
Good morning to you.
How is Kampala right now? How is the weather like?
Kampala is sunny. Yeah, and the weather is really fun. It's bright.
Some of that in Nairobi because it is a little bit chilly here in Nairobi. But we are not here to talk about the weather. We are here to talk about matters inclusion. Kindly introduce yourself and tell us a bit about the work that you do.
Well, my name is Moses Walusimbi, and I'm the founder of Special Children, Special People. Basically, Special Children, Special People has 3 thematic areas. A moment. Special Children, Special People has 3 thematic areas. We do education and rehabilitation, of which under this we have an inclusive school that supports children, mainstream children, and children with special needs. Of course, those that are not severely affected, we have them in an inclusive setting, while we also have a rehabilitation center that supports children that are severely affected by their mental disability. Number 2, we do advocacy and awareness raising. Under this, we bring on board all leadership positions at all levels, right from grassroots, and sharing awareness, as well as also bringing on to their attention the challenges that are affected by people with disabilities. If I could go a little bit deeper, you'll find that Uganda is one of the countries has the best policies supporting people with disabilities. Unfortunately, everything is in the book. So we try to get out and bring these leaders onto board and let them understand what the policy says about disability. And then awareness raising, that is where now we bring in communities and parents of these children, letting them understand that disability is not a curse. Disability is not a witchcraft, but it is a health condition that comes along with a number of conditions. So we do that in schools, we go to communities, we go to churches, we go to radio stations, TV stations, among others. The last one is empowerment. And under empowerment, we are empowering parents of children with disabilities. This came in as a result that most of the children that are in our support have issues right from their families. You'll find that many of the beneficiaries are single mothers who are disowned by their own families as a result of having a child with a disability. So to try to promote sustainability, we started an empowerment program whereby we support these parents in a variety of ways, including micro-lending. Micro-lending, they come up with groups within their communities, and then they start saving. But the group is not only composed of parents of children with disabilities, but it is also composed of other community members. So they save money, and then they come up with a business plan of what they want to do, and then we give them training and eventually lend them that money. So the group lending methodology works in a sense that these have collateral. So we give, it is the group members that acting as security towards their own money. We also train them into vocational skilling, like tailoring, for those that are interested into learning that skill. So basically, that is what we do as special children, special people.
There is something that I picked line on where you say that Uganda has one of the best policies when it comes to learners to persons with disabilities. Kindly, could you extrapolate a little bit further and tell us how does the disability landscape look like in Uganda?
Could you repeat the last line? I didn't get that clearly.
How does the disability landscape look like in Uganda?
Well,
if we start at parliamentary level, we have 5 MPs that represent the different regions of Uganda, and those are people with disabilities. And when even we come to the district level, still we have representatives. Actually, we have representatives up to the grassroots level. However, the challenge is that these people are not aware, or maybe they could be aware, but implementing the policies that are supposed to support people with disabilities is still hard. And that is why we come in to let them know and understand, sometimes even getting those documents to their tables to read and understand what they're supposed to do to support people with disabilities.
It is interesting because we are looking at this conversation as a cross-cutting and learning opportunity. Which are some of the reasons that the legislators give when you go create this advocacy to them and you are telling them what is in the documents, which I believe they should already know because they are the people tasked with coming up with these policies and legislations. What are some of the reasons that they give for them not being able to implement the laws that they come up with themselves?
They could be giving, however, I could maybe attach it to stigma, but because much as these people are elected into different leadership positions, they could still look at people with disabilities as not fit to be in society. And because of that, so they will tend not to know that these people are protected by the laws of Uganda. However, when we come out as advocates and let them understand what they're supposed to do, most times we are successful, and that is what we've been doing. Yeah.
On that work, but let me take you a little bit about the name of your organization, Special Children, Special People. Why particularly that name?
Okay.
That is also a good question. Thank you so much. Special Children, Special People, we started this organization over 14, 15 years ago. But at its initiation stage, we thought about, this is a child today, but he's going to be an adult tomorrow. So how are we going to continue supporting? If we register that we're only supporting children, then where are we going to take them? Because remember, by then, we had less institutions that were supporting people with disabilities. So Special Children, Special People means that we have this child, but we're expecting them to transition into an adult, and of which we shall continue giving them the support we can.
A way to look at it, because one of the biggest challenges that I've even come across here in Kenya is sustainability. An organization would come up with a children's program, but they only look at the child. They never think forward, or that this child, yes, will grow into a teen and eventually an adult who picks them up once they become a teen and an adult. Mr. Wallace, we're going to talk extensively about the Learning Center that you run, what it does, and some of the milestones that you've been able to achieve, and any other conversation that will fall into the cracks.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, dear viewer, for being a part of this conversation. Having inclusion one-on-one, and we're talking to one Mr. Walusimbi, who is from Uganda. And Mr. Walusimbi, I hope you can hear me. You, in the first segment of the conversation, you spoke about a learning institution that you run through the organization. Tell us a little bit more about it and exactly what it does and how integral it is to the development of children with disabilities in Uganda.
Right, thank you.
It is a primary institution that caters for children, especially those with physical disabilities, as well as those with mild cases of autism, hydrocephalus, among others. So in this setting, the children sit in a mainstream class with everyone else, and they attend class. However, because of their special needs, the teacher will leave some time to attend to these children on a one-on-one basis. Yeah, and that's how we do it. That is, if you're in a class, the teacher will have extra time for the child. While when we get out, this is when we are trying to promote peer-to-peer learning, because the school is on the same campus with the rehabilitation center. So if they are out, if it is time to play, they will all play together, of course, with the guidance of teachers that will be on duty, watching over what is really happening in the compound. And I'm happy to share with you that we've seen children sharing love to their fellow children more than what we've seen in the communities.
Yeah, when you are amongst people that you understand one another, then it wouldn't be very hard to be able to mingle with one another. Isn't that the case?
Yes, it could be, but when you look
back to my story, because briefly, my story, we had our cousin with epilepsy, but then our family told us that epilepsy was contagious, no playing, no sharing, no nothing. So we hope that maybe such could be happening within these children at their homes. We are trying to promote ambassadorship, whereby maybe if it so happens, seeing these children at school and we are playing together, we are having lunch together, so I'm all going to be okay. They just need love and support. And this is what we are preaching, with the hope that in the future, we are going to have more ambassadors for people with disabilities at grassroots level. Yeah.
A bit back in our conversation, you had spoken about legislators probably not being aware of disability, and their knowledge might be, their capacity might be minimal. But from a community point of view, what is the perspective towards disability from a Ugandan context? Because I believe and understand contexts change from country to country.
I think I'll take this back to the government. The government has not done enough. They've done a lot of policy development, but then implementation.
Don't you think if the government then puts policy in place, then it is upon the community as well? Because people, persons with disabilities, exist, I would say, in the community rather than at the blocks of probably parliament or even the LC1s and LC2s that might exist in the community.
Yeah, thank you for that. But maybe let me start it at the government level. I'll bring it.
So the government has really been good in developing policies. However, these policies, one, they are in English. And when you look at Uganda as a country, we have a lot of languages. We are not like in Kenya, where the national language is Swahili. In Uganda, every community has their own language. So it is the responsibility of the government to do an interpretation of these policies into the different local languages. In that way, it is going to be much easier for the communities and the leaders at the different levels to do an interpretation of that. Because when you look at the community perspective about disability, until now, not everyone is in acceptance with people with disabilities. Some people, much as they're in leadership positions, they still have that stigma. So they will not be bothered to do the interpretation of what the policy says. And besides, they will also claim not to have funds to do that to pay people. So it takes me back to the government that it is its responsibility to come out and do that interpretation and maybe provide funds at district level, at the community level, for people to get an interpretation of what the policy says. Another example, if I can give an example about a police stations actually in Uganda. What do you think is going to happen to a deaf person? They don't have sign interpreters, sign language interpreters at police station. So if and they say, yes, we are saying this, but we don't know sign language. So it takes me back to the government that it's the responsibility of the government to implement these policies at the grassroots level.
An interesting way to look at it. How we piggyback to the government and how much it is supposed to do. Let us go back to education a little bit. And you said that the institution has a primary school and a rehabilitation center. But what are the rates of transition into higher learning institutions for persons with disabilities? Those you have engaged with in the past 13, 14 years, but also Uganda as a country.
To be honest with you, we still have a long way to go. For the past 14 years I've been talking about, we've really been having challenges because this is a school we started about 2 years ago. We didn't have the means and capacity to start one. However, we tried moving out to different schools, requesting for them to admit our children, and it was really hard. So if I don't have a school, myself or as an organization whereby we can let these children be, and we are supposed to go and plead to other people's businesses, then it has really been hard. I will answer that I've not been successful towards supporting these children with disabilities because we didn't have a school, number one. Number two, most of the schools in Uganda are business oriented. So a head teacher will tell you that, Moses, I would love to help. But you see, the other day I had almost the same case, and parents warned me that if I admit this child, then they'll have to take their children away. So that is another problem that we're having in Uganda. We don't have schools that are inclusive. You'll find that many of the centers that we're having are rehabilitation centers. And rehabilitation centers have a limit. A rehabilitation center will not have a school curriculum, but it's going to have an individual learning plan, which might not really be helpful to a child that would gain more in an inclusive setting.
which are some of, this probably would be my last question, which are some of the best learnings that you have seen in the past 14 years of you doing this work that you would like to share with our viewers who are watching us right now?
Learning with the
supporting
people.
Okay, yeah, of course, one of
the achievements I would like to talk about is being able to set up an inclusive school. And so far, like I said, we started it last year, but we have over 30 children that have disabilities. So I'll call that an achievement to special children. We've been able to support children engage into agricultural skills. Children are able to rear animals. Children are able to rear chicken. And these autistic children, these are Down syndrome children whom their parents didn't expect that they can do anything by their own, but they are able to look after their own farms. Of course, I can't say it is 100%, but some are as far as 85, 90%. And only left with the challenge of maybe learning to use money and do an interpretation of money. We've been able to share awareness to, I don't know how many radio stations, TV stations, and this has also helped other people get the idea of supporting people with disabilities. And in that, they also started advocating and starting up NGOs that are supporting children with disabilities. Yeah.
You out without you giving us your last word. What is the last thing that you would love to tell to our viewers this morning?
Right, thank you. The last viewer is calling on
everyone that is watching me today that Uganda is really doing a lot towards supporting people and children with disabilities. However, there is more that we need to do. We are not supported by the government to do the work that we are doing. We are trying to do our own fundraising and support the people that we are looking after. So we are calling on everyone that has any kind of support. It may not be monetary. It can be maybe advisory services. It can be networking, among others. Please come, let us support the children in Uganda. Thank you.
Special people from Kampala, Uganda. And thank you very much, dear viewer, for staying with us since we started. This has been your Inclusion One-on-One edition. Let us see you tomorrow on Wednesday as we bring you Dreams in Motion. Good morning.